Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos continues to show us all how seriously unqualified she is to serve the American people. In a recent public forum, DeVos was quoted as saying, "I am not a numbers person," when asked if she should be judged based on the academic outcomes of school choice and voucher-like programs. While there is nothing wrong with not being numerically centered, shouldn't the person in charge of the Department of Education policy be a numbers person, or at least act like one? The idiotic comment just goes to show that DeVos doesn't actually care if the school choice and voucher programs actually work, just as long as it looks successful from the outside. That is indeed true, America. And what makes matters even worse is we found out this week Betsy DeVos joined Randy Weingarten in Ohio to tour, Van Wert, Ohio to be exact, to tour a couple of high-quality public schools. Now, here are the facts. 90% of America's children go to neighborhood public schools, not voucher programs or school choice. So the fact that Betsy DeVos is only focusing on 10% of America's student population is already problematic. But to make matters even worse, to push forward voucher programs that are unregulated, unauthorized, and have no accountability and transparency means that Betsy DeVos is setting up black and brown families for utter and complete failure. When you create a voucher program and you have these fly-by-night tent pop-up private schools where there are no regulation, there are no graduation standards, you basically screw kids that look just like me. Think about it for a minute. So Church XYW decides to open up a school, right? And they said, we're going to teach kindergarten through 3rd grade. We're going to, Sister so-and-so is going to teach it, or the deacon's going to teach it. And Betsy DeVos said, this is a great idea, and I'm going to loosen up all the regulations possible at the Department of Education to make sure that your Christian school voucher program gets open. So all these kids, all these parents say, oh, it's great. We're going to go to this voucher school. We're going to go to this school. It's the same church we go to, and it's going to be great for the kids. And then what happens? 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, these kids learn nothing. There's no regulation. There's no accountability. There's no, here are the standards you've got to teach these children. So they get to 4th grade, where they have to go to a real school, charter or public, and they walk in the door, and the teacher says, Mr. So-and, Miss So-and-so, or Mr. So-and-so, they say to the kid's parents, Johnny can't read. And you say to yourself, well, what do you mean Johnny can't read? He went to a school and we paid for it, and we got a voucher to pay for it. And the teacher's like, I'm sorry, he can't read. Now Johnny is screwed. You don't have here's the thing that pisses me off about Betsy DeVos and these far-right extreme choice policies is because, yes, they say, oh, if choice fails, you just shut the school down. And that's true, or you just, stop giving vouchers to this particular school, and that's all true. But what happens to the kids when you shut the school down? They can't repeat kindergarten again, or they could, but they'll be behind. We're dealing with precious lives. We're dealing with America's greatest resource here. We're literally dealing with America's future. And we have two choices. We could make the choice to create rigorous standards, transparency, and true and real accountability, where the public and taxpayers they hold these school districts, whether public, charter, voucher programs, accountable for the education of the students. Or we can have Betsy DeVos' world of the Wild Wild West, where there is no accountability, there is no transparency, and taxpayers don't have a say in what happens to the schools in their community. In Betsy DeVos' world, if that exists, where there's no regulation, it's the Wild Wild West, our kids fail. Because kids are allowed to sneak through the cracks and come out not being able to read, not being able to write, and not being able to do reading, or not being able to do arithmetic. Or we can invest in public schools, invest in high-quality teachers, train teachers, create after-school programs, create tutoring programs, create programs to help students that are low-achieving, to create programs to make sure we help the most vulnerable students and give them a chance at the American dream. Every single time that we've made the choice to fund public education, we have seen it work. You don't have to take my word for it. Don't take my word for it all. Just look at the facts. Look at what happens. I'll give you a great example. Cincinnati, Ohio, right, where the community and the businesses and the school districts said we're going to come together and we're going to wrap our arms around these schools and we're going to create community schools. And you saw a failing school district overnight turn into through the roof graduation rates, kids being kids being above average in reading and writing and arithmetic, more students going to college and graduating in 4 years, all because the school district and the community made the choice to invest. Betsy DeVos does not want to invest in public education, and the proof is in the pudding. For the past 2 decades, Betsy has bullied and lobbied members of the state legislature in Lansing, Michigan. And you know what the result was? Horrific school conditions in Detroit, Michigan. Unregulated charter schools, unregulated voucher programs. Betsy, you are not the answer for America's kids.